What's happening, friends? Welcome to Podcast Unlocked. It is the world's #1 Xbox podcast for June 29th. The year's half over.
Oh my gosh, wow. I can't believe that.
I got my game of the year already, though, so that's good.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. My name's Ryan McCaffrey. That's Destin Legary looking svelte in eggplant.
Is that what color this is?
I don't know.
I'm colorblind.
Purplish.
Parmesan.
Yeah. Are you really colorblind?
Oh, yeah. To me, this looks red.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
That looks red to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess it's
Should we tell them it's not red?
It's definitely not red.
Burning it tomorrow.
This is red.
That is red.
No,
This is
that's
pretty
eggplant.
Shark. Sean Finnegan, good to see you.
Jump.
Alana is in Australia, so always
Coming
good to
off
have
the
you.
bench.
Coming off the bench.
Sixth man of the year.
Just tag in, yeah.
Alana's fighting actual sharks
Yeah.
That's true. Sharknadoes.
That's why she went there.
on the Bondi coast.
Right. Oi. Marty Sleva, hi.
Hey, it's a palindrome episode, Ryan.
It is?
We need to.
Sure
we need
is.
to
Hey, 252.
discuss it.
Oh, you're right.
We did it.
We made it.
Well done, everyone.
All right, we can go home now.
That's it. Show's over. It's been a good week. Actually, it practically is. It's a very slow week of Xbox
Yeah,
things.
it turns out not a lot of stuff happens in the weeks following E3.
And it's a short week for us, too, right?
Yes.
Which is great. I'm out tomorrow, actually.
So it's even
good
shorter for you.
I got a 5-day weekend.
Where
It's
you
going to be
going? You going
awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, to my apartment. I'm going to play a bunch of video games.
Staycation.
Everybody's like, well, don't you do that here? Nope. That's not
Yeah.
what we do. Oh, so rarely. Although I have been delighted to see a bunch of people in the office passing around our few copies of Inside, and I just see it popping up around the office. It's so good.
Yeah.
Marty, we have to address it. That's where we have to start because
the 10 in the
All right.
room.
so we're
Well,
not
we're
gonna
not
spoil
what?
anything.
No,
It's
this is
okay.
going to be a spoiler-free chat.
yeah.
We have not played yet.
Yeah, we won't.
Oh, we're
trust
talking
me,
about
we're not gonna-
Inside?
yeah, we're not
Okay.
going to spoil it. Ryan and I are very good at this. Next
I'm
week,
partially doing this for the audience.
at the end of next week's
Yes.
episode, we are going to have a spoiler cast.
I may even sub you guys out. Basically, if you
I'll play
haven't
it by
played,
then.
I'm
if you
playing
haven't
tonight.
played, you will
I'm
be
playing
subbed
tonight.
out.
Yeah. Live.
So that is the warning. You have a week to play a 3-hour game.
I think I can do it.
Oh,
So-
it's only 3 hours. I'm going to play that. I'll be done. Let's do the spoiler cast tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, I woke up to a lot of tweets. So our review went up yesterday. And
Did you review it? You reviewed
I
it,
did.
right? Yeah.
I really wanted this one.
It launched at 3 a.m. Pacific.
That's a bit of an unusual time. I mean, back in the day, Live Arcade used to update it, I think, 2 a.m. Pacific, so it's not far off from that. But yeah, I had never given a 10 in my 4 years at IGN. This was not. It was not even really a debate, though.
How many 10s have you given ever?
Ever? Well, so back at OXM, the first few years I was there, we were on a 100-point scale like IGN is.
Yeah.
Although, actually, both IGN and OXM have used both 20-point scales, meaning 7, 7, 5, 8, 8, 5, 9, 9, 5.
Yeah.
And the 100-point scale, which, of course, is just 9, 1, 9, 2, 9, 3, etc.
What was the last one you gave?
So the
it to?
last 10 I gave, somebody asked me on Twitter, and I actually couldn't quite remember,
Yeah.
but I think it would have, because I came to IGN in May of 2012, so I'm pretty sure the last 10 I gave before this, it had been 5 years. It was Gears of War 3 in September of 2011, which in hindsight is a 10 I 100% stand behind. That game, all 3 modes of it, competitive multiplayer, Horde 2.0, and the single
How many
player.
10s have you given, Marty?
Never.
Really?
Never.
No.
Because you're good at your job.
Not
Unlike
even
me.
with Banjo-Kazooie.
I never got to review Banjo-Kazooie.
At which you
I
were
reviewed
6 years
Replay,
old.
which I loved, but it had Battletoads, which kept it from a 10.
9.0, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything
Yeah.
that should be a 10 in your mind?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah.
What?
Journey.
What? I'm asking
Braid.
what?
Journey.
Okay. All right.
I would have given The Witness a 10. I'd
If I
probably
was
would
a
have given
games
Inside 10.
If I was a
Limbo.
games reviewer, yeah,
Yeah.
And that's, I guess,
I would have
yeah.
given a 10 to BioShock,
10s don't come around
Mass
at,
Effect.
at IGN
Why
super
are you
often.
not? Why are you nodding your head at not? You don't like BioShock?
I don't think BioShock's a 10. That's
Oh,
all.
we had a
That's all.
discussion
Yeah.
about this.
Which one? The first one?
Yeah.
Any of them.
Any of them?
Destin
Yeah.
argued we just recently did top 10 FPS games
yep,
of all time. And Destin was the one loud voice in the room being like, BioShock doesn't deserve to be on there.
Because of what we were cutting.
True.
That's a big conversation we can get into,
I don't-
but I don't want to
we're talking
open that
about
can of
Inside
worms.
right now.
Yes.
But I will say,
Talking about 10s.
it is worth sort of reminding, since the 10s don't come around very often at IGN. 10 on the IGN scale, and I would probably no one scale, but on IGN scale, 10 does not mean perfect. There is no such thing as a
Nothing is
perfect
perfect.
video game.
Even though doesn't it say, what does it say?
it says
Masterpiece.
masterpiece.
Right.
10 means masterpiece on the IGN scale.
I like
So
that.
that is where 10 comes from.
And
it
eight,
gets
eight
it-
is garbage on the scale,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
Everything below an 8. But yeah, just for a little bit of insight into Inside, in case you don't
I
know,
hate you
it is
so
the
much right now.
second game from Playdead, who were the developers of Limbo, which came out on XBLA
Phenomenal.
2010.
Yeah,
Phenomenal
Lombo was.
game.
Lambo.
My brain's
Sorry, wrong
already
game.
fried.
That was
Yeah.
like the version of it, like how Pissed came out after Mist.
I tried to say.
Lambo was the thing you went to Software Etc. for and got for like $4.
I definitely just tried to say
play.
Limbo was awesome and really messed
Driving
that
around my
one up.
Lamborghini.
But yeah, Inside, it very much, you can tell it's from the same team as Limbo. It is a 2D atmospheric physics-based puzzle platformer, relatively simple mechanics, but absolutely dripping with style and substance and themes and a very subtle but incredible visual story.
The some questions I've been asked a lot over the last couple days. How long is it? Took me about 3 hours. Might take you a tad less, might take you a tad more, depending on if you get stuck on or not stuck on any of the puzzles. I never really got hung up for more than a few minutes at a time on some of these. I got stuck less in Inside than I did in Limbo. And I have to imagine I'm dumber now than I was
Definitely.
6 years ago.
Yep.
When I had my nice sharp 20-something brain. So take that for what it's worth. And then the other big question I get asked is, because I've been referring to it on social media as the follow-up to Limbo to give people something to relate it to, because remember, they've done almost literally no marketing or PR for this game. Almost none.
Yeah, 2 years
hope
ago
it
at
sells really
Microsoft's
well.
conference,
It was
they
announced.
showed a short teaser, and then they legitimately went off the grid, and then all of a sudden it was this year at the conference, they're like, hey, it's out in 2 weeks.
And like
Yeah,
those guys don't really do interviews. They're
Well-
just like, we just want to release art.
And
Yeah.
to your exact
Yeah.
point, their Twitter account, which I've been looking at this week because I think I've tagged it in a couple times, at Playdead it was an account made in 2011, and it has 4 tweets on it, and 2 of them are from the last 30 days.
Yeah, and it's
Which,
just like, hey, there's
they-
some misreports about the time
Yeah.
it'll launch. It'll launch at this time.
Brevity is the soul of wit.
I love that they do in an age where like, well, you've got to have social media as
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
They just do not care. They
Yeah.
clearly, based on their Twitter account, could not possibly care less.
I love this idea of them all sitting around in a room being like, how do we address the audience about this update? And it takes like an hour for them to be like, oh, we have this Twitter.
It didn't
That's
exist
a great
6 years
idea.
ago
We
when
have
we had
the
Limbo.
Twitters.
Yeah. So yeah, and so anyway, that's the other big common question I've been getting asked is, do I need to play Limbo first? No. They don't. Well, I don't want to. You don't.
No.
Yeah, that's enough.
That will leave it at that.
Yeah. Also, it's 3 hours, but
You don't need to play Limbo if you
you should
haven't.
probably
What
play
the
Limbo.
hell? It
Well,
was
hopefully,
free.
it was free during E3.
Yeah.
it's 3 hours, but it's definitely what we all went through it a second
Again.
time. If only not only to just experience it again with like, oh, now that I know these things that happen, I want to do this. But also there are some cool off the beaten path things that
Yes.
none of us found the first time through.
Correct. Yeah, Marty. What was your favorite aspect of the game?
I mean, it is a game that we've remarked a couple times. It feels like it has 5 years of polish on it. Every subtle animation, every lighting cue, every particle effect the game feels handcrafted.
Yes.
And it feels
Every bit of
for
physics.
a 2D platformer, it is as cinematic as like it is masterful the way they move a camera in a 2D platformer, which is insane.
Yeah.
Its use of depth of field of objects in the foreground, objects in the background, and then you in the core ground. That's the cinematic term, the core ground.
Now invented a new
yes.
concept.
The lighting.
The lighting not only adds to the tone, mood, and atmosphere of the game, but is also served to highlight aspects of puzzles and very subtly cue you into things you should be looking at or paying attention to.
See, that sounds really cool to me because like I loved the art style of Limbo, which is this kind of like film noir-ish kind of low-key lighting. That's the
And
term
then
that we call
a bunch of people copycatted it afterwards, but nobody had really done that yet.
Yeah, but like what I wanted to see was how they implement the what I could have, like, if there was going to be a criticism from me about Limbo, it would be that they didn't really use the aesthetic as part of the gameplay, like part of the puzzles
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
So to hear you say that
Yes.
that's a little bit better integrated.
Yeah, and it's definitely
that
not.
sounds really
It's
cool.
not that like stark silhouette of Limbo. It is
Right.
more colorful, or I guess there's more going on in the background and sort of
Interesting.
more visual storytelling.
It's more layered in sort of a literal and figurative sense,
Yeah.
I think, would be fair to say.
Yeah, and like we won't go anything into the story, and you shouldn't know anything about the story going in. But I found it really interesting that I felt like for the first half I was like, yeah, I know what's going, because the whole thing is presented without text,
Right.
And so it's like I know what's
Which is
going
something
on.
that happened in Limbo as well.
Yeah, and you're like,
no text, no dialogue.
I have a pretty good
Yeah.
grasp of what's going on, and then you go deeper down the rabbit hole, and you're like, oh no, I don't know anything. I'm very confused right
Let me
now.
walk that back. There is text, but not in the way that you would think, because there's one part in Limbo where
Oh,
you
the
go
hotel
to
sign?
the hotel
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's text, but
Yeah.
it's not
It's a puzzle, basically.
really
Yeah,
text. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a phenomenal, very special game. One of those games that as soon as someone else would beat it, we'd pull them into a corner room and be like, hey, we need to talk about this. Like, what did you think of X, Y, and Z?
I mean, I will say that 10s here are not given out or even considered lightly. They're very rare. I know we've given one already previously this year, but
Stapes probably vetted you quite a bit. He's like,
What do you give it to? The
Witness.
previous 10?
The Witness, yeah.
Oh, Witness.
Which, by the way, how hilarious is it that arguably the two best signature Xbox Live Arcade games
made by very small teams.
have now come back around again for their follow-ups,
Yeah.
and are probably the two best digital download titles.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
on both the respective
And
consoles.
it's just that's the unfortunate part, is that they're each locked away as platform exclusives.
Yeah.
Well, Witness is on PC, right?
Yeah.
They're both on PC.
And I think both of them, I would say, by
But-
this time next year, will also be on the other.
yeah, and that's nothing's announced, but
Yeah.
past
No.
history suggests
Yeah.
like Limbo ended up on virtually
Everything.
everything,
Yeah.
and
You can play that on mobile nowadays, I think, right?
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, how cool is it that the two best live arcade games from back in the day are now their follow-ups both took forever to make, but
Yeah.
they're both 10s.
Especially since like
They're
there
both
is that
brilliant.
kind of curse of like the sophomore slump, right? Like your second game or your
your
second creative
album.
endeavor.
What do you,
yeah,
what
it's
do you have
never
to
as
say?
good.
You had
Yeah.
your whole life to make that first album of all those life experiences, but yeah, what do you
Yeah.
do with that second?
Yeah, I just love the fact that probably my three favorite XBLA games were those two and Bastion, and then
Yep.
all three have gone on to make follow-ups that I absolutely adore with
Yeah.
these two and Transistor. Yeah.
Now, next we need Shadow Complex 2.
Yep.
Just throwing it out there. We had Donald
Nudge.
Mustard in here. We held his feet to the fire a little bit.
Yeah.
That needs to.
Or Infinity Blade 4.
You shut your cardigan mouth.
But yeah, Inside is very special. Ryan and I played the first 10 minutes on a Let's Play you can find, which is currently on IGN.
The very first unlocked plays that
Yeah.
we've been promising
Oh,
you.
great.
Yes, finally.
Which is
It's on our
us
YouTube
playing
channel.
games. Yeah.
YouTube.com/IGN Unlocked.
Correct.
I did it right this time.
Nailed it.
We're going to
proud of
do
myself.
Mass Effect with
We're gonna
you.
do some Mass Effect stuff. We're
Oh,
gonna
man,
we're
that
gonna,
would
do
be
some
awesome.
banjo stuff.
We're gonna go find. We have to figure out how we have to find a hardware and software for Blinks, but we're
Blinks?
going to do it.
Yeah,
That's
if
going to
I-
happen.
If I break embargo on something, I'll play Battletoads.
I might
as
have
punishment.
to. I might have to call Phil Spencer and say, "Hey, could we borrow a copy of Blinks? Because we can't find one."
I wonder if there's one in our games library.
We'll check. Yeah, we haven't even gotten that far
Yeah.
yet, but yeah, I started to say 10s are not given or considered lightly around here, and you're right. They actually are vetted. Not only did I finished the game first, and then I was begging people to finish it because I needed to talk to somebody
you finished
about
it right before E3.
I did. And then Chloe finished it, and Marty finished it. Dan Stapleton finished it.
Yep.
Andrew Goldfarb finished it. And
All before E3?
No,
in
this was
the
all
time
after,
since. And I think, and now even Brendan Graber, our wikis expert, who's working on some crazy things that I guess we'll just talk about later.
Yeah.
But that involve collectibles. So, and nobody has even started to argue that it's not a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it's that kind of. It was one of the easiest 10s I've ever even seen, or certainly one of the easiest 10s I've ever given.
Yep.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean-
really excited to play this tonight.
Yeah, me too.
I've been planning for like a week. I've been bugging Ryan. I'm like, when's the embargo? Can I play tonight? Oh, it's 3 a.m.
So
Should
and
I
I'm
stay
gonna
up?
I'm gonna say this right
Yeah.
now, and I love you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't watch Destin's stream.
Yeah.
This is
So-
not a game that should
Yeah.
be experienced, in my humble opinion, through someone else.
I'm
Please
going to
watch
stream
Destin
it.
every
Watch
other day.
it after you've played it. That's what I'm going to ask. You know, like,
So
yes, I'm going to stream
no one
tonight
watch
so
it
I
live.
capture my natural reaction. And then after you play it, feel free to watch the VOD.
And yeah, on that note, if some people so my review is as spoiler free as it can be, both the written and the video. I mean, there are things that it shows, but none of them are out and out spoilers, either story wise or puzzle solutions.
Yeah, they're all presented out of context.
Yes, that too. So I would love it if you would take a watch and or read of my review. But I've heard from a lot of people, because I do say right in the beginning of the review, it's best to go in blind.
Right.
I've heard from a lot of people that say, I'm going to check out your review after I finish it, which is totally fine too. Just appreciate it if you would, because man, that was you know how, Marty, sometimes it's some reviews are work where you're just like, it's the holiday season, there's 10,000 games to review, it's okay, Marty, we need you to review this.
And sometimes you finish a game and you're just like, you feel so middle of a road about it that you can't like muster the enthusiasm either way.
Secretly, to me, I don't know about you, those middling score reviews are the hardest reviews to write. The real bad
5 and a
ones,
7 is tough.
Yep, the real bad scores are just like, you know, you definitely have things to say and passionate things to say.
Like, you punish me by having me play this. It's my turn.
And the other way is easy too, because I mean that's like Firewatch I reviewed this year, and that review just like came out of me because I just had so much to say about that incredible game. This was the same way, where it's just like, man, this was the review just flowed. I was just a vessel for it to come out.
Everyone who has played the game, who I've talked to about it, and I've tried to stay away from deep discussions about it, having not played it yet, but they've all been very, very excited. Like, we were at the E3 showcase, and the first thing when you, me, and Phil Spencer came together was like, he was like, what about Inside? And I was like, I have to walk away because you guys are going to talk about it.
He said, I was professional. I didn't tip my hand that I'd already finished the game at that, even though it was Phil and you know, he's already finished the game. But he goes, Inside came up and he goes, yeah, it's the game of the year. And I was like, I know.
I remember on the post show when we were like at the post show from the E3 conference, it was like, what was the best game they showed at the conference? And I was like, it's Inside. And I know that as a fact because it's a 10. It's probably the only game at that conference that's going to be a 10. So yeah.
Oh man, what a treat! It is just for fun context. I went and looked at Metacritic, which a lot of people like to look at as a sort of amalgamation of critical opinion. It is, you know, not a perfect system, but it is the system we have as an industry. And the highest Metacritic ranking games on Xbox One, the first one is Grand Theft Auto 5, which wouldn't argue with that for a second. Second one's Metal Gear Solid 5. The third one is Inside. So if that gives you an idea of how well regarded this game is.
The rarefied atmosphere it's in.
Yeah.
All three of those we gave a 10.
Yes. All three deserving. We were part of that high Metacritic
situation.
But yeah, it's absolutely, with all due respect to The Witness, which I am too stupid to have finished. I'm about, I don't know. I'm some number of 100 panels into it, but I ended up getting stuck, and then I got onto other things, and maybe someday I'll go back. But Inside is, as of today, my game of the year.
This has been a hell of a year for... I mean, we're halfway through the year, but we've already had The Witness and Oxenfree and Firewatch and
I forgot Oxenfree.
Inside and Dark Souls 3 and Uncharted.
I would love to see a game like that. I mean, again, I haven't played it, so I can't really cast a vote for it, but I love the idea of little games like that being able to stand toe-to-toe with the AAA franchises and possibly even win Game of the Year from like a publication like
Journey.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is in 2012, it was great because we did this whole Judgment Day thing where we haven't done that since, where we bring in all the developers and kind of talk about the nominations before we even award the Game of the Year. And it was cool to see like the Walking Dead team come in, and then we had the two FTL dudes. Like the whole FTL team was these two dudes,
two people.
And they're sitting next to the 5 dudes who did Halo 5 or 4 at the time. And I was just like, Halo 4 is competing against Mass Effect 3, is competing against The Walking Dead and FTL and Journey, and it's just
Guild Wars 2, and we're like, what is it?
Yeah, like
there's just weird, man.
Yeah, and it's just like you have this. That is, to me, a better sign of a healthy industry than anything. Right? It's like when you have quality works of all scopes competing against each other.
So AAA games can do things that indies can't because of the sheer manpower and budget that can go into it, but indies can also do things that AAAs can't in terms of...
Indies can be one person's vision, like exactly how they want to present it.
And I mean, I don't mean this is going to get misinterpreted, but almost in the sense of innovation. The AAAs, to a degree, almost most of the time have to play it pretty safe because there's a a publisher is investing tens of millions of dollars into it,
Yeah.
so it can't go too crazy off the rails when you're spending that kind of cash on a game and needing a big return on that money. Whereas inside, how many, Marty, it was probably, those credits were what, 15, 20 people maybe? Something like that?
Yeah.
And they spent 6 years.
And an indie is able to make a 3-hour game and say everything that they have to say, whereas
Yes.
a AAA game, like, generally you have to make hits. I mean, there's not like a quota, but like if Quantum Break was 3 hours long, people would finish it and there'd be an uproar because it was
That's
like, this
right.
is a AAA $60 game.
Well,
I
so
need
yeah.
That
my money.
happened to Max Payne
Yeah.
back in the 1998
Yeah.
when it was 6 hours in a time when like 20 was
But
expected.
it was 6 incredible hours.
That's right.
And
No filler.
no fat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it took the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I think, for people to realize that a short 6-hour campaign that's hyper-focused and quality all the way through is viable for the AAA like space. But that is something that people expect of the AAA space, is like a long experience that can give you many, many hours either on the single-player side or the multiplayer
Right.
side, preferably both. But I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like, especially as we get older, I think you really I personally really appreciate a game that does a lot with a little. That's
right.
Yeah.
And I, like with Journey specifically, Journey instantly after I finished it became one of my top 5 games of all time. And I think that game does more with 2 hours than most games do with 20.
Totally.
Yeah, you're right. As I get older and I have larger responsibilities at work, larger responsibilities at home, I need a game to respect my time.
Totally.
If I'm going to, spend money on it. So yeah, don't bother with filler. Just three great hours is inside that is exactly what the doctor ordered. So if you haven't already bought Inside, please buy it. Support Playdead so that they can make God knows what the next thing would be that they would make.
What is
but
it, $20?
$20. Yeah, you just can't go wrong. And if you haven't played in Limbo yet, play it before
play
Inside,
Limbo.
after
Yeah.
Inside,
Yeah.
whatever. Play that too. I mean, it's so good. Grab it on your tablet or Xbox One.
Oh, yeah, it totally works on iPad.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. And if you don't have $20, steal it from the till of your local general store.
That's not a thing.
Let's
you
not
should do.
encourage theft.
Damn it, Marty.
Say something more like, just look for it in the spaces in your couch.
Mow a lawn even if the person doesn't ask you to, and then demand money. Money tips. We're starting a new podcast, Money Tips.
Is that how you got
Yeah.
that sweater?
Yeah. I stole it from the old man manning the till of a general store.
I too am wearing a sweater, pulling off my best Marty.
Thank you.
The funny story
I appreciate
about this is I went and had dinner over in the Sunset with Tim Geddes and his girlfriend and my friends who were up from LA. This is when Kind of Funny Live was happening, Kind of Funny Live
Yeah.
2. And if any of you have been to the Sunset, Destin knows this is Pride of the Sunset over there. It is not very sunny most of
No,
the time. In
no,
fact,
that's
it's
the
very
irony.
The sun
cold
has set.
a
Yeah.
lot of the time, and it's foggy.
And misty as
And
hell,
I was
yeah.
not prepared for this. It was warm during the day, and so I was out there with the T-shirt, and I'm freezing.
Oh, man.
And I'm walking to the restaurant, and I see a thrift store, and I was like, yes.
And that's
I
where you got
walk
that
in there.
sweater?
I walked in there, and I was like, I'm buying the warmest thing I can. Don't care how much. It was $5.
That's a solid $5.
That's a strong $5.
Well, that's what I was
right
going to say.
there.
Is like I was going to be happy spending $5 on
like
just
a grandpa sweater that
yeah,
you can
like
toss
I'd
away
wear,
the next
I'd
day.
literally wear once
Yeah.
just to not be cold for that 10 minutes, and then be fine with it. But now it's actually kind of become part of my wardrobe, and I see the merits of the sweaters now.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also helps your brand.
There
Everything
you
I
go.
do here, I just want to make sure I'm on brand.
Yeah,
I took a brand course.
Sleevo brand.
All right, not a lot to get to, but fortunately we just jabbered for 20 minutes about how great Inside is, so that'll help get the show up to its normal duration. We'll come right back, talk a little Halo Wars 2 beta stats, a surprising Batman remaster announcement, and a very fun little Pac-Man thing right after this, which is now, cuz we're on the camera audio, because the laptop
yes.
is
Way of the
borked.
future.
So there's no cute little music here anymore.
Boop, 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 boop,
At least
boop,
not
boop,
for
boop,
today. Hopefully we'll fix it for next time. Okay, news unlock time, boys. Halo Wars 2, Microsoft sent out a press release that was mostly self-congratulating about E3 that didn't have anything of real
No
note in
actual
it,
information.
except this.
Yeah.
This was definitely worth pulling out, and that is Halo Wars 2. They announced that the player count, quote, exceeded their internal expectations. They saw over 1 million matches in the Halo Wars 2 multiplayer beta. totaling over 1.2 million hours of play.
So does that mean the average match is 1.2 hours?
Could be, Marty.
Yeah,
Dang.
sounds right.
You can
Mathematics.
do math. Yeah, that's not a required thing at this job.
Mathematics is my new brand.
I totally
part of
wasn't
it.
opening my calculator just now to do that math. And then
No, I
Marty
know.
did it, and I'm like, oh my God, he's right.
I actually want to know from the audience how they liked the Halo Wars 2 beta, because none of us got to play it. We were all in LA,
Stupid E3.
except I went and played the thing on the floor, which was actually a different build than it had a different map and mode of what was in the beta.
That's confusing.
And again, I think I talked about this last week. It was the Xbox build on the floor was just super rough still. So I'm sure I will like it, but it was still rough. And then behind closed doors, when 343 was showing it off, it was on PC and it was a single player campaign level and it looked great. So I'm sure it'll get there, but I didn't really get to sink my teeth into it.
It's good there's an audience for this product, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the first game. If you haven't played Halo Wars 1, they're offering it as part of that definitive edition thing for Halo Wars 2. Well, they'll give you an Xbox One copy of Halo Wars. The first one is just great. I gave it a 9 back in the day. It really suffered. It's a big problem. There were sort of two things with it. One was an actual problem, and one was just features that weren't there. It ran rough on the Xbox 360, so hopefully the Xbox One version will not when you get that definitive version. And then the other thing was, Halo Wars is, Sean, you can speak to this, so set up potentially exactly like StarCraft.
Totally.
3 races, the UNSC, the Covenant, and the Flood. And you could play as the Covenant in Halo Wars 1 multiplayer.
Right.
You couldn't play as the Flood at all. They did show up in the campaign as adversaries, but then there was no Covenant campaign either. So
Flood Rush.
Right.
it just felt like there should have been a Halo Wars 2 right away, except they closed Ensemble down.
Right.
That would have expanded things out and had a Covenant campaign and maybe work the Flood in as playable somehow as well.
Yeah, because as a Halo fan, this is what you want to be able to do, right? Like take control of the vehicles and stuff from other races and people who appear in the Halo universe and get to like play around with them and work with them and stuff like that. Like that's kind of the fun of an RTS game like this. And I don't know if you guys are really into RTS, but like it's kind of a like by today's genre standards, it's kind of an old school genre, right?
Definitely.
And
But it's still very much alive. I mean, Civilization 6.
yeah, totally.
Although that's
StarCraft
turn-based. That's a bad
StarCraft
example.
2.
Well, turn-based, it can still be RTS because, well, okay. You're right. Turn-based is not traditionally
I had to
real-time
walk that
strategy,
back.
right? Real-time means real-time, not
Okay,
turn-based, right?
Warhammer, Dawn of War,
Yeah,
that's
that's-
real-time.
Exactly.
StarCraft 2's last expansion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, StarCraft in general, right? Warcraft and stuff. But, like, here's the thing about RTS is, like, while they don't present the same, like, flash and sort of, like, scope that traditional, modern FPS or, like, RPG, like, AAA games do, the depth of the games mechanically tends to be the big draw,
For sure.
right? Is like once
Yep.
you understand what you're looking at and you understand how complex it is, watching two competitive real-time strategy players play against each other
It's like
is,
a chess match.
Yeah, it's watching a grandmaster level chess match unravel in real time, and it's seriously the most fascinating thing to watch. Like
Yeah.
I still,
It's why, I mean, StarCraft was basically the first esport.
yeah,
Because that was particularly in Asia.
Yeah.
It was a spectator sport.
totally. And I mean, I'm sure this is now just pop culture, or I wouldn't call it pop culture knowledge, but gamer knowledge that. In Korea, in South Korea, where StarCraft's really that's ground zero for StarCraft. That's where it began. That's where the best players are and were and still are. The players, they're pro players. Like they're in that country. It's the same as being like an NBA player here. Like you
Yeah.
are a
Yeah, it's a
superstar.
level of celebrity.
Girls and guys have posters of pro players on their walls, like in their bedrooms. It's kind of crazy, right?
I have a fatality poster on my wall.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a deep cut.
Yeah, he has a 1 instead
With a
of an
1 in
L
there, yeah.
or a T.
I have one of his headsets.
The really interesting about Fatality was he didn't even play the most like Counter-Strike was the game, and
What
he
did he
played
play?
Unreal
Played Quake
Tournament and
stuff,
Quake.
right?
Yeah, he was a 1v1
in software
guy.
stuff.
I don't actually have a poster of that man. I don't know what that
man.
man looks like.
Yeah, he's just the only name.
He's the
remember
only
from back
competitive-
then.
Dennis Fong, Thresh.
Nope.
Yeah?
No, I'm not saying nope.
won-
As in he's not a person. I'm just saying nope. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he won John Carmack's Ferrari in a Quake tournament.
PewDiePie?
Wow.
Is he a competitive gamer?
No.
No?
Let's
wrong?
not even go there. But I mean, like, RTS is this great genre, and I
Nobody
love...
competes with PewDiePie.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's very true. RTS is this great genre where, like, if you give it the chance and you're a mechanics like person, it's like the most rewarding genre to watch and play. So to see it happen in the Halo universe and to see it done well, like Halo Wars, the first one, was
So
pretty
good.
good.
It was
Like, I liked it a
It was
lot.
made by the same people that made Age of Empires, one of the signature real-time strategy series in the world ever.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, again, the fact that that studio was announced as being shut down before Halo Wars actually came out cast this whole just sad pall over the whole thing.
Totally.
And the fact that they didn't just crap that game out saying, well, we're all fired and we're all shut down anyway, so whatever. The fact that they made a 9.0 game under those circumstances, I have nothing but the utmost respect and appreciation for the former members of Ensemble Studios.
And I think best of all, like, as a big Halo fan, the worst thing that could possibly happen when you have a non-FPS Halo entry to the universe is have that thing be crap, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the game is not crap.
Nope.
And it builds on that on that strong gameplay and the strong IP by telling like a really cool and interesting story.
Yeah.
Like
With Blur cinematics.
yeah, that was what I was just about to say.
yeah.
It's like you could go watch. I think there's like a 45 or 50-minute video on YouTube that's just the cinematics
supercut.
from the Halo Wars, and there's some really cool stuff that goes
Yeah,
on
I mean,
in that
dude,
stuff.
the CG trailer they showed at E3 was one of the coolest CG trailers
Also
at the show.
Blur.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really hoping,
Spared no
like you
expense.
said, I'm hoping they take a cue from StarCraft, and have sort of a three-pronged campaign. I think it'd be really cool to have a story as the Flood, as the Covenant, and as
I
A lot of people are waiting to see the Flood.
I totally agree with you, but the pessimist in me thinks that
No Flood.
thinks that if they had a 3 race campaign, they would have said so by now.
Yeah,
they would have
maybe-
said so at E3 and
Yeah,
be like,
maybe they're waiting
we've got
for-
all the 3 races.
maybe they're waiting since it's not till next year. Maybe they're waiting for like a Gamescom.
I
thing
hope so.
or- Yeah.
I hope so.
Microsoft has had like a strong presence at Gamescom the last couple
Yeah,
of
and,
years.
and their E3 was more about multiplayer and getting the message about the beta out
Yeah,
there. So maybe
that's
they're
true.
waiting
That's
for
a
their
good
single player
point.
push to another event.
I
And
think
there's a
it'd
lot
be-
of other races out there in the Halo universe that
There's
they
those weird
haven't
like Monkey Man with hammers.
Yeah. There's also there's the Forerunners. There's all sorts of
Proteins.
things. But like I think one of the
Prometheans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm,
with you.
I'm playing
You're-
Mass Effect.
You realize
sorry.
you are mumbling in front of a microphone. Everyone can hear you.
the Protheans, the Prometheans. Yeah, we always get
Yeah,
those confused. I think like with the strength of RTS generally has been its multiplayer, at least when it comes to in terms of games that have like a great longevity, right? You need
That's
strong,
true, for sure.
Like in order to have really long legs, you need a great multiplayer.
Well, I've played through the Halo Wars 1 campaign like 3 times,
Yeah.
and after you do it once, you can breeze through it.
Oh,
after
totally.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
you can
'Cause
play
you know
again,
what to do.
right? But you can play again on Legendary. You can pump it up a little bit, but yeah, you're right. The
even-
legs totally come from the multiplayer.
Yeah, and even with great single player RTSs like both StarCraft 1, like the first one, and Brood War and Warcraft from
Yeah, the
Blizzard.
Warcraft.
Those stories and the cinematic or the in-game cinematics, or not cinematics, in-game engine cutscenes are so awesome. They tell these really incredible stories, so much so that I've played those campaigns a few times. But really what gives those games the 10-year-long legs is how awesome and deep and skill-oriented the multiplayer is. I think the guys at Microsoft and,
Creative Assembly.
yeah, like they have to know that, right?
Of course they do.
So I mean, I'm sure they're very heavily focused on the multiplayer.
Yeah, and
Because the story comes in Halo,
they already have the blueprint for how to do great RTS controls on a gamepad.
Yeah.
already written
Oh.
for them from Halo Wars 1.
That was the other thing. Was like traditionally, or I was very skeptical of Halo Wars the
Everyone
first time
was.
it came out because I've brought this up before, but like StarCraft 64, while it's a decent port of the game, it's it pales so much in shade to what StarCraft on PC is
Yeah.
that even if it was a pretty good port for the N64 with these weird controls, it emphasized how bad it was even more.
Yeah, I mean that was I saw when we went to a Valve event at CES like a year or two ago, where they were showing off the Steam controllers,
Right.
And they were showing it. They're like, you could play Dota with it. It's like I don't play Dota, but like someone who does play it, it's like, no, this is literally a different video game. Like this is not Dota.
Yeah, like whether you can play it is
And
different
or-
than whether you should play it that way. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you could play through Dark Souls with a Guitar Hero controller.
Oh,
Doesn't mean
yeah,
you should.
dude. I can't believe
I mean, you
that
probably should,
that
actually.
dude actually.
Yeah,
Someone did.
But I mean, the point is, like, when I game into Halo Wars, I was like, wait, these controls actually work really well. It did this really innovative thing with the wheel. You know, like, it was just cool.
And I guess to make one final point on what you're saying is, you mentioned action and shooter fans, coming to a strategy game. That's why I like, because I don't actually like strategy games all that much. But I loved Halo Wars because the elements of it, the lore, and like I could understand all the units and everything really well because Halo translates so well to it.
That's
so
so
you have
true,
a literal tank, you have vehicles so you're gonna have a good idea what they're gonna do. You know what your ground troops generally are gonna do, and okay, I got to make more of these and more of those, and this is gonna counter that. So that Halo universe is just such a good fit. I mean, of course, because the fact that Halo originally started as a real-time strategy game before becoming a first-person shooter. But yeah, I'm real optimistic for Halo Wars 2, even though just that little tiny bit I played at E3 in multiplayer didn't do it for me. But I guess I'm just going to have to decide if I want to play it. I mean, it's Play Anywhere, so I'll have both copies. But am I going to play it on a PC or am I going to play it on my Xbox One? I'm not sure.
go.
I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
I'll try both.
Or on your Xbox One Slim.
Where am I going to get that? I'm not. Why
When
would
you
I
buy it.
I'm not spending money on that.
Oh, okay.
So I said the same thing until I saw it at the Xbox showcase, and I was like, "Oh, it's
Here's the
so
thing.
nicely designed. It's so small."
If I had an HD TV that had HDR,
Yeah.
I would totally get an Xbox One S.
Also, isn't it
Because-
4K video enabled but not game enabled?
don't know.
Correct, I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
think
the
you're right,
Blu-ray.
yeah.
I believe it's a 4K Blu-ray player. But yeah, like only the newest, latest, greatest TVs have HDR, and even then, like I started to do some reading and research on this with Dan Stapleton, and it's a whole like, you need to invest some serious time into getting knowledgeable before you drop $1,000 or more on just any old TV. Like, oh, this one's got HDR, sure. No, there's Dolby Vision and there's like HDR 10. There's these two formats, and it's just like, oh god, not again. Why can't we all just pick something?
So here's something. I don't know what HDR means in terms of gaming. In camera,
It's a lighting. Yes, you know what it is.
So that's what I was gonna say. Is it the same thing?
It
So
is.
in the camera and lighting in digital video world, HDR means high dynamic range.
Yes.
Which
Same thing.
essentially means the space between your shadows and your lights, like your highlights,
Yep.
is greater.
Yes.
Which means it renders a lot more light and a lot more shadow
Correct.
detail. Okay.
That's what it is.
So, and that's what the Xbox One S can do. And if I am remembering correctly from E3, Forza Horizon 3 and Gears of War 4 are going to be supporting it.
Interesting. Okay.
And I don't know I think those are the only two games. Again, if I'm remembering correctly, please don't quote me on that. If I'm off the cuff here. So, but yeah, if somebody handed me an HDR TV, it'd be like, great, give me an Xbox One S now. But otherwise, I'll be biding my time till Mr. Scorpio.
I'm more
Or
interested in
Miss
it.
Scorpio. I don't know.
Good point.
If it was Miss Scorpia, it'd be Miss Scorpia,
That's not how.
Really?
That's not how O's and
no.
A's
It's
work.
just
isn't it?
That's how
Isn't
Spanish works.
This
Isn't that
not
how
a Spanish
gender
box.
works in language?
No, they're not called girlos or girlas.
Not in this language.
Ryan, let's
but
talk about Batman.
English, we don't have gender pronouns. Minus he and her.
Anyway, Destin, no.
Yeah.
I'm not.
What?
I'm not getting an Xbox One S.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're
okay.
gonna get one here and unbox it and probably like run some tests.
Throw it in
And
the
then-
garbage.
And then I'll take it. You guys aren't interested
No,
at
I'm
all with the
kidding.
2 terabyte internal?
I'm joking. Yeah, I actually really like the look of the new console.
Oh,
I
it's
mean, not
gorgeous.
even just the
I'm
look,
not going
but
to buy it.
The
I
2
don't have the
terabyte
money.
internal is the big deal for me. I
Delete your
don't
games,
like.
yo.
I already have an external drive. Like, I'm already set
we
up
go
on my
again.
Xbox
I don't
One
like
version.
the external hard drive.
I already bought it, though, so I'm good. Yeah.
Money's already
You
sunk.
have one too, right?
Sunk cost, 2 terabyte hard drive.
Do you have one?
It sits on top
No,
of my
I
Xbox One.
have my launch hard drive, and I don't care because I
too.
delete
Marty
everything. Because
deletes
all I
everything.
play, the only game I need on there is Banjo, and everything else is just re-download. It's fine. It's fine.
Right. You have right now. You have Inside on there, which is
And
3
Banjo.
gigabytes.
And Banjo. Yeah. Go.
I'm almost at max capacity like all the time. I have to like swap out the latest AAA game in order to install something new.
Let's talk Batman because I got to leave in 10 minutes.
Oh, is it already?
Destined.
Man,
Yeah.
we're moving right along.
yeah.
All right, Batman Return to Arkham Collection. Remember that? We talked about that before
Oh, yeah.
E3. It was an
The
officially announced
weird thing.
remaster collection, which
With only half the games in the series.
well, no Arkham Origins, no Arkham Knight. But the cool thing was, the thing I was on board with, they redid City and Asylum in Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah,
like,
so
okay,
they jumped from
that's
3 to 4.
That's cool. That is a legit. That's not simply a file save as in 1080p.
But then I saw a lot of artists out there who know more about art direction and everything saying, way to crap all over the original art direction of the original game. So they weren't happy about it from that aspect.
Well, it's fine
Why
because
would-
it comes out in a month, so we'll be able to play it, right, Ryan?
No, Marty.
What
in
happened?
fact, it's been. Listen to this. This is a quote from company representative Steve Grayson, possible relation to Dick.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness.
After reviewing the progress of the project, the team at WB Games has decided to delay the release of Batman Return to Arkham to give the team at Virtuous Games, that's who's doing the port, additional time to deliver a polished Batman Arkham game experience. We do not have a release date yet, and we'll be sure to communicate that once we are sure the game will be ready.
Good.
Did they simply grow a conscience and realize this remaster is dumb? We should invest our money in new things like Arkham VR.
Yeah, I don't.
Actually, I think that's Sony's money. Probably,
That's Sony's money.
but
Yeah,
It's dumb and it's
to me,
weird and the
well, to
marketing
me,
is
it's more
off.
like maybe technically this wasn't going well because the jump
Yeah.
from UE3 to 4 is not easy. Like I
No.
imagine, like you are messing with assets and physics and rules to video games.
Yes.
And so I think what happened was it was sort of broke, and they realized they've already released a broken thing before, which was Arkham Knight on PC.
Yeah.
and got burned real
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, they already
Justifiably
released
so.
a
Backlash.
not a bad game, but a game that didn't live up to standards with Arkham Origins. And yes, that was a different team, but to 99% of the audience, that
Doesn't matter.
It's an Arkham game, and so I feel like this is a thing to where when you just look at Asylum, City, and then I wasn't crazy about Arkham Knight, but a lot of people were, especially on consoles.
I wasn't either. Yeah.
It's a super strong brand. One of
I
the
love it
strongest
up to the
brands.
last quarter, and then
I love it until I have to get in a stupid car.
Yeah, right?
And so I feel like the brand is like incredibly strong, but then it's taken a couple shots on the jaw. And so they're like, hey, we don't want to do this again. We don't want to release another shoddy product that takes arguably 2 of the best games of the last generation.
Release this, Cape Crusader. Where can you find your remaster collection? Haha, nowhere. It's delayed.
I mean, it's totally. I don't know. I'm totally fine with this because I also I love the Arkham games. I don't need to replay them. Like,
That's
there's
what I was
stuff
gonna say.
do
Is
wanna
like
play.
I didn't really find a reason to go back to those games after playing them. Like I played Arkham Asylum twice in a row, like when it came out, because I thought it was awesome. But after that, City kind of evolved it past what Arkham Asylum was, and then you can't really go back to those games anymore.
You want to play them again? Play them on PC. There's your HD version. They look fantastic still.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like also the art direction. When you brought up the new engine, like the art direction, I remember those games being very pretty for what they were.
They
Oh,
look
my goodness, yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you really need. I don't know. Gamers really nowadays are more focused on graphics and specs than they ever have been before because of these console wars, like the 1080, 60 whole ordeal,
4K.
which does not matter.
The 4Ks that aren't real 4Ks.
I've said it many times before, and I will say it again, but like no one remembers whether a game was 1080p or 900p. They remember if it had great art or not. And so a game that benefits because of its art direction.
Titanfall ran in 760p, and
Oh my
therefore it was a piece of crap. No,
That was really good.
I'm glad you're saying it. If I said it, I'd get hate on the internet.
I'm just goofing around. I gave that was a great game.
No, yeah, absolutely. But a game, I just don't think those games benefit as much from a resolution upgrade as people think that they might. And maybe WB recognizes that. Also, half the games are missing from the collection, so it's not really like...
A definitive collection.
Yeah. It's like that. There's that Chris Nolan Blu-ray collection that has like 5 of his movies missing, and it's like...
doesn't have the
Oh, that's
following.
weird.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the following.
It doesn't have The Dark Knight Rises
movie
in it.
called The
It doesn't
Following. It was
have...
I know.
First movie.
Yeah, wow.
There's a bunch of his movies like that are... Inception's not in it.
It's fine if it doesn't have Dark Knight Rises.
I can't believe it doesn't
F
have
that movie.
3 of them. Like, those are big movies to miss.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's made 8 movies or something like that, 7 movies, and it's missing a lot of them.
Do you think this will ever come out?
Yeah.
Is this the last we ever hear of it?
They've probably
They're
invested
gonna do it as all the games
they've
or
invested
something.
enough money where it's probably going to sneak
Can we
out
talk
at
about
some
that other
point.
thing yet that we watched a trailer for? Is that
Oh,
no.
I don't.
What?
No, I think because the show posts today,
Okay, never mind. There's another thing. By the
Yeah,
time you listen to this, maybe there's another thing.
it'll fit right into this conversation. Just take this and dub out our words with something else.
Yeah, and we
tomorrow.
all sort of feel the same way.
Pretty much.
General apathy.
Anyway, I guess whatever.
I really have no idea what you're talking
Well,
about.
That's
yeah,
It's an asset we
it's
must have
fine.
got.
You'll fill you in later. Finally, this week, this is just a quick thing. According to the Korean Game Rating and Administration Committee, which is basically their ESRB, they've got a listing for Pac-Man Championship Edition DX2. Speaking of great old Xbox Live Arcade games, like we talked about at the top of the show, for Xbox One, PS4, and PC,
I believe we gave that game a 10 as well. That game's
OXM did too.
incredible.
OXM did as
yeah,
well.
that's one of the. I want that game on every device I ever own for the rest of my life. That
It's-
game's just
It's fun.
like perfect 5-minute game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like the ideal Pac-Man.
Yeah, totally. Like they took everything. Like Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man's like already perfect
for,
itself.
For those that may not have had a 360 or played,
Yeah.
the younger crowd maybe.
Yeah, it was-
Explain Pac-Man Championship Edition
it
DX,
took
please,
like
Marty.
it was a visually overhauled, like it was very despite the fact that it was still Pac-Man, it was still top-down view and you're running through mazes. It gave it this visual flair and this sort of like pulsing trance soundtrack. There was a bunch of different modes. Levels would warp and sort of terraform as you went through a match. There were a bunch of different modes to where you would be able to string together and get the more pellets you'd collect, the faster you would go, and the game would just continue to be like
That would
times
be
2
awesome.
speed times, but the ghost would also be faster, and so it would just completely make the game insane. But it was also in the same way like Geometry Wars. It was
Very
like entrancing.
colorful, yeah.
Like it was a thing. Like you got into a rhythm, and it became one of those games to where you would wake up every day, you'd look at the leaderboards, and you'd be like, oh, these 2 people passed me. It's like I'm not gonna let that happen. It was just great. A bunch of different modes. Like it reminded me a lot of Geometry Wars too.
yeah. So more of that, not a bad thing.
No,
if
absolutely.
that proves
And
to be
it's been
correct.
what? It's been 5, 6, 7 years.
Something like that. Yeah,
it's
it's
back
been a
in that
while.
old XBL idea. Yeah.
Sean Finnegan,
Yeah.
you're in the Marketplace report chair.
Hooray.
What can we spend our money on this week?
At retail, we got Lego Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens.
Marty?
Very good.
You reviewed it.
I gave that game a 9.0. It is my favorite Lego game and my favorite Star Wars game in many years.
Wow.
It's incredible, a ton of fun. The best Lego campaign in a very long time.
It's gorgeous to look at.
Absolutely stunning. It takes direct lines from the movie and then also has it recorded dialogue with like Harrison Ford and
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, and John Boyega and tells a really cool story, a bunch of side stories that sort of fill in the gaps of stuff that happened. Really fun, really charming. Great single player and multiplayer. Ton of really crazy secrets. You can unlock J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because that's if you've ever wanted to, you can unlock Constable
meta.
Zuvio, who we all thought was going to be a big part of the movie and literally wasn't featured in the movie. So now you can play through the entire film as Constable Zuvio.
Nice.
But those are fun, silly things that like the fans eat up. They love that stuff.
Oh yeah, it's super. Yeah, it's weird to like kill the Emperor as J.J. Abrams.
What else?
The Techromancer. Don't know what that is.
Heard that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. We give it like a 4 or 5 something.
Wow.
And 7 Days to Die, which is $30.
That's the game that Telltale's published.
Publishing, but it's a zombie
Survival
game,
thing.
but not a
Techromancer
Walking
has
Dead
7
game.
Days to die.
Yeah, I'm curious about 7 Days to Die because I'm really curious about the idea of Telltale getting into the publishing biz.
Yeah. Chelsea, that's only $30 at least. We haven't
I just-
we haven't gotten a copy yet though.
Why?
Right? So
Oh,
For
that's
what?
not good.
have
7
we?
Days to
Or
Die.
if we
Oh.
have, maybe
I mean,
I haven't
it's
seen
on
that.
our Steam
Yeah.
account probably, so.
We don't all have computers, Dustin. You keep bringing up PCs. I have a MacBook Air. I can't play 7 Days to Die
this
on that
Unlocked kind of is by default our PC podcast now.
because Mitch abandoned us.
No, because
Well-
Microsoft, it's as Dan Stapleton put it, it's like an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
you PC and you Xbox, you will be together. But Dad, I don't love him. You're gonna just carry on the family line
May
and
your
just
first child be a masculine child.
exactly.
Over on digital, we have Inside, $20.
Get
There's a note here that I won't repeat. I guess I could, though.
It's F anything else is what I wrote because
We have one allotted F every podcast,
We don't.
supposedly.
That's not a real thing.
Full Mojo Rampage, which is $13.
it's a roguelike. So there's that.
Can we talk about what's going on right now? What's this next game?
Kung
It's
Fu Connect.
I'm guessing
Also
the last
$20.
Connect game. How could there?
It's crazy that it's based on the David Carradine show Kung Fu.
I got so fed up last night with my Connect turning on when I say words that don't sound like the key word that you're supposed to say. I'm just like, I'm done. Get out of here.
Yesterday when I got back from the doctors, I set a record for how many times I had to say Xbox on before it turned on at 12. Mm-hmm. After the sixth one, I was like, now it's a matter of principle. I have to keep saying it before
I
it
threw
gets
my
on.
Connect away when I moved.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just like, I don't know.
No, so
Maybe I'm just
it's-
like I'm like a neophyte, but I'm just like, I don't need. I'm fine with like a 500
I like
meg
it, but like it
hard
doesn't
drive.
even.
I'm fine.
Its basic functionality doesn't even
500
work
gig.
for me anymore. I'd say mic on in Division, it doesn't work, and I'm like, well, why do I even have you?
If I still say like for navigation stuff, like
Right.
on the video side, it's
Yes.
still pretty useful. It doesn't
Yeah.
work all the time, but I'm okay with
That's
having
the
to say
only
something
reason I like
twice.
it. Xbox on, Xbox off.
Yeah.
Also, you ever try to
We're
turn that
queuing
on?
everybody's
our
consoles
listeners
listening.
are
Stop
canceling
listening.
their
You ever
subscriptions.
try to
to
use,
everybody.
use voice commands on Connect after a night of drinking?
That I have not
you?
done.
Doesn't work well. That was a couple years ago, yeah, and then I was like, oh, this isn't gonna work.
That sounds like a video we should make for IGN
This is-
3 years ago when Connect came out.
drunk Connect commands.
We did
Yeah.
that.
Did we?
We didn't do drunk Connect commands. We should
That's
have.
the whole
should.
angle,
Yeah,
though.
that's the bit.
We've tried to do drunk video content before, and for some reason, it never works.
We only tried it once, to be honest.
Well, we're doing something next week.
Yeah.
There we go.
I gotta run. I gotta run. Sorry.
bye,
everybody. I
Dusty.
hate
You
to
wrote
do
down
this.
your.
I did.
I will accept
I did,
your
I did.
trivia
Yeah.
submission.
Also, Monochroma, $10.
Monochrome is actually super cool. Speaking of games that are visually inspired by, you're a weird boy. Speaking of games visually inspired by Limbo, Monochroma is that.
Yeah,
plays
cool.
a lot like Limbo as well. Not as good as Limbo. A few things are, but it's good. Like if you play through Inside and are like, holy crap, I need something else. Monochroma is a not as good version.
Interesting. Okay.
It's the.
But still not bad.
It's the Lee Jeans to the Levi's.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Wrangler to the Levi's, maybe. The Mr. Pibb to the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, where Mr. Pibb isn't bad, but if you're just chilling with a Dr. Pepper, that's like, ugh.
I can't
I'd
drink
rather have
either
the
of those.
Dr.
Both of
Pepper.
them are too sweet.
Yeah, I haven't had soda in years.
Oh, good for you. Well,
I have soda water.
Yeah.
I mean, good for me. I substitute it with
Yeah,
something
with alcohol.
equally as terrible.
We
Hey,
also-
it comes from potatoes.
yeah. Moving on to the marketplace.
Yes.
June games with gold. We got Goat Simulator on Xbox One.
Yeah, almost over, so you better grab these quickly.
And Super Meat Boy on 360. Now, here's a question for you. If you get Super Meat Boy as part of games with gold on 360, because it's backwards compatible, do you also have it on Xbox
So
One?
yeah, every single one of these from now on.
Every 360 game that's
everything.
free is
Cool.
backwards compatible.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anyone out there who's listening to the show didn't play Super Meat Boy when it came out. But if you
should-
didn't, it's
yeah,
real
also
good.
one of those.
Never assume.
One of those pillar Summer of Arcade games.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Totally. Also,
It's in the
it is
pantheon.
the developers of Super Meat Boy are the focus of this documentary called Indie Game, the movie.
I still
Along
haven't
with
seen
Jonathan
that.
Blow.
So good.
Yeah, that's a really good movie.
I need to
So
see
good.
that.
Watch that movie.
Is it on Netflix?
It was.
It was at some point. I
Yeah.
don't know if it still is.
I watched it on Netflix. And I literally, like, for weeks, I told people to watch it. It was the video game documentary I wanted to make. Like, it features really interesting developers who are kind of weird, kind
Yeah.
of funny, kind of like these interesting characters.
Right.
But it actually treats their work, them, and video games as a whole with a lot of respect. Like, it doesn't look down upon them.
Yeah, but
which I think a lot of documentarians do.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, video games is this big thing, but we're better than it because we're filmmakers
Yeah.
or we're artists. And this really portrays them, the developers, as these like
Flawed human beings.
Yeah,
Flawed,
but
but
like-
incredibly creative.
yeah,
human
and
beings.
so dedicated to the
passionate, yeah.
art. And a lot of people hate Phil Fish.
Phil Fish, yeah.
Yeah,
who made
Polytron.
Fez, is one of the main subjects of that game, and a lot of people think it portrays him poorly. Whereas I really just saw him as like this, like so passionate to a fault type person, which is kind of an endearing
Yeah.
thing. It's a very good
Yeah,
documentary.
it's
Watch
about,
it.
pretty much about Meat Boy, Fez, and Braid.
Exactly.
Nice. I need to watch
Three
that.
huge XBLA
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. Moving on, we have The Crew on Xbox One, which is the set from June 16th to July 15th.
Yeah, so that's still going.
Yep. And XCOM Enemy Unknown,
Which ends at the end of the month.
which is
it's like
ends at
tomorrow.
the end of this month.
So July got announced.
Yeah, July games with gold as well. The Banner Saga 2, which is
It's
all
awesome.
July.
It's debuting, right? On the console?
I don't know.
I think so. 'Cause I believe it came out for PC, but I think this
Okay.
is its console debut.
Great.
Which
There
is
you
awesome.
go.
That game's awesome.
Tumblestone, which is July 16th. to
Literally no
August
idea what
15th.
that is.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's an Xbox One game. Rainbow Six Vegas 2.
so good.
The
We
first
talk
2
about that
weeks
game
of
so
July.
much.
And Tron
good
Evolution,
times.
the
Yeah.
second 2 weeks of July on Xbox 360.
Fantastic. All right, let's do a little trivia.
Let's do it.
Well, we ran out of time last week. So make sure that you guys mark your answers. I'm going to give everybody a quick update on the scoring situation. Destin is eligible. He wrote down his answer. He was here for 90% of the show. All right, our situation is Destin at 7, the Ghost of Mitch at 6, the Shark at 2. Poor guy doesn't get to play very often.
Yep.
Marty at 9 points. You're out in
Suck
the
it,
lead.
Mitch.
Alana at 4. Larry Herb 1.
Steve Gaynor 0.
Steve Gaynor, nothing.
Yeah.
Except he has all the talent that
Except-
I will never have
Made
in
a
my
Game
life.
of the Year nominee.
Yeah, that.
Did you
Okay,
write
so
yours down? I gotta do a pen.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll just go first. That's fine.
our winner this week, or our question winner this week, is Jason Nippard, who asks, which of the following thrashball teams did Augustus Cole, a.k.a. the Cole Train, play in? For the, I like that.
Wasn't he
For the-
supposed to be voiced by Drake originally?
I believe that was
Isn't
the,
he voiced by Terry Crews? I thought he was voiced by
I don't
Terry
think so.
Crews.
I think you're.
No.
I think that was a racist statement.
Why?
I don't know. I wanted to see how you'd react to that, and you reacted well. Congrats.
Pass the test. No, I don't believe it's Terry Crews or Drake. But
It's
it's
a Cruise like. Terry Crews, not like
That-
Tom
like a
Cruise.
roguelike?
Yeah, a little bit.
No, like I thought it was voiced by like a pretty well-known actor.
It was literally Drake was
yeah,
originally
that,
cast.
and we did that as a trivia
oh,
question
did
at
it?
one
Yeah.
point. Yes.
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
You
musician.
would have just been really sad.
Yeah.
Jason
Maria.
Terry Crews is hilarious, by the way. I love
Yeah.
that guy. Jason Nippard is our winner. He will win a copy of some video game that I've got kindly donated from the listeners in my email box. And it's for this question. So again, it was which thrashball team did Cole play for? Was it the Tyrus Sharks, the Hanover Cougars, the Jacinto City Jaguars, or the Shavad Thunder? Do you guys remember?
I should know this. I did play the first Gears, and there is a line of dialogue where he's like, "Didn't you play for blah blah whatever?" And I knew he was a pro football player, or whatever,
Thrashball.
thrashball. But I mean, it's like the NFL
Yes.
It's like the XFL.
The Sarah.
the TFL.
Pretty much.
in that
Yeah.
universe. I wanted to vote Tyrus Sharks because Sharks, but no, I went B, Hanover Cougar. Hanover
Marty?
Cougars.
Yeah, I also went Hanover Cougars. I thought I remembered it being a cat, and then there were two cats on this
That's
list.
kind of what I thought too.
But
Like I
then
thought it was
like,
Jaguars.
Jacinto
initially.
is the only place I remember from Gears, but I'm like,
so
I'm
that's
gonna go against it. So yeah, I also chose B, Hanover Cougars.
And you're all correct. Nobody gains any ground on
Whoa.
Wait, what did
anybody.
Dustin
do?
Destin got it. He has B circled
Wow,
here as
look at
well.
us.
So
What a
good job, everybody.
Good job on guessing,
Destin
everybody.
moves to 8 points. The Shark up to 3. Oops, 3, not 4. You'll have to
3
earn that.
times as many points as Larry Herb now.
Alana would have said D, the Shavad Sharks, so give her -2 points.
The
You're
Shabbat
right. I'll
Thunder.
do that immediately. All right. That brings us to the end of another podcast Unlocked, the world's #1 Xbox podcast. As Marty said at the top of the show, please check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's probably the easiest, best way to watch all of our content. Should you prefer faces versus voices?
I don't know why, but
YouTube.
This face.
Well, now that we've got Sean here this week, youtube.com/IGN Unlocked. I remind you that IGN Prime is a super cool way to not only support us over here at IGN, but rid yourself of ads on our website for the term of 1 year in exchange for $30. You can go to IGN.com/Prime to take care of that. Destin is at Destin Legary. Don't watch him stream Inside. Play it for yourself. Sean Finnegan.
Follow me on Twitter at ShotByFinnegan. Making videos, taking photos, talking about movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Marty?
I am at McBiggity on everything 2Gs and 2Ts. Check out my Lego Force Awakens review.
Yes.
Alana and I are putting up a feature soon on other Marvel properties and studios we would want to make those games to sort of go along with the Insomniac Spider-Man
like
news
that.
from E3. And then also, I'll listen to Podcast Beyond, which is the PlayStation podcast that Alana and I are on. And next week is episode 450. We're doing something very special on location at one of my favorite places in San Francisco.
Must be a bar.
It is a bar. With two special guests whose names might rhyme with Craig and Gollin.
I literally said that in my head. Craig and Gollin.
Craig and Gollin.
Nice job. Well done.
Precious lamb for 50.
Yeah, so that'll be up.
Wants it.
So that'll be up next week.
Excellent. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. If you like the shirt I'm wearing or some other shirts I made, there's a link to that in my profile page on Twitter. I do a Tesla podcast that I would love you to check out if you like cars, particularly of the electric Tesla variety.
Or of the self-driving variety.
They're halfway there, and they're leading the charge. And I think that's pretty much it. We're wrapping up our month-long IGN First coverage of Agents of Mayhem, the next game from the Saints Row crew. So we've got a couple of really cool behind-the-scenes sort of making-of pieces, how Saints Row evolved into Agents of Mayhem. That's a really great piece that you guys put together.
Yeah, I forgot to forgot to promote that right there, but they're really interesting pieces. Like check them out. They're behind the scenes, documentary-esque kind of making of pieces. Really some interesting tidbits in there. Like for instance, they talk about how Saints Row 4 had PlayStation 2 code in it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've read about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super weird. Video games are weird.
And we're finishing up the month with a sort of AMA type thing. It's a
Nice.
Ask the Developers Anything about Agents of Mayhem. I actually already solicited the questions. They're out. I'm waiting for the answers to come back. So look for that on IGN. I think we're going to put it up now on Friday, heading into your holiday weekend here on IGN.
And then speaking of, I forgot. Speaking of making ofs, part 2 of our Final Fantasy 15
yes.
making
Yes.
of is live, and this one focuses a ton on the story and sort of the 3 pillars of the story they want to tell.
Which
and
you
how
went
it's
out
spread
to
across.
the studio in Japan.
Yeah, we spent about a week in Tokyo and talking with Tabata-san and the rest of the team, sort of about how they're telling the story of Noctis and his friends, alongside Noctis and Luna, alongside Noctis and his father, and how they're spreading that story across 3 mediums with the game, the anime, and the movie.
Fantastic.
Very excited for that game.
And yeah, please check out my inside review, whether it's before or after you play the game, but please do yourself a favor and play that game.
Yep.
It is the game of the year so far as I'm concerned, all due respect to The Witness and Dark Souls 3. So good.
Real good.
Yeah, you hit it on the head, Marty. This has been the year we've been waiting 3 years for.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of it, and it's great.
We haven't even hit fall.
We haven't even hit fall.
Yeah.
For the departed Destin Legary, rest in peace. Marty Sleva.
He's not dead.
The Shark, Sean Finnegan.
dead.
I'm Ryan McCaffrey. This has been Podcast Unlocked, episode 252, Palindrome. Woo! See you guys next week.